Bonjour, j'entends les petits oiseaux, mais qui c'est qui a les petits oiseaux comme ça, je l'entends.
Ah, c'est moi, je me suis mis en...
Ah, mais c'est magnifique.
Voilà, je vous amène au Maroc. Voilà.
Ouais, c'est super. J'adore le Maroc, moi je suis une fan du Maroc. Alors, share content. Bonjour Daniel.
Oui, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Comment allez-vous?
On va bien. Et vous, votre cheville?
Ah, ça s'arrange pas vite.
Aïe, aïe, aïe. Mais c'est cassé,
Le matin. Ah oui, c'est cassé, oui.
Aïe, aïe, aïe.
Je dois retourner sûrement à l'hôpital demain parce que là, j'ai un problème avec le plâtre, donc ouais.
Bon. Aïe, aïe, aïe.
Bon.
Plâtre trop serré?
Alors.
Sûrement, oui, c'est ça.
Ouais.
Bon, je vous laisse, je coupe le son. Hein.
Oui, merci. Oui, on va. De toute manière, j'ai dit, hein, avant de présenter, on enlève le début comme ça. Oh, it's time to begin. So thank you everybody for joining us today. So we have Christophe Gribelin from Domaine de la ZOUINA, who will present Domaine de la ZOUINA and what it is to produce wine in Morocco. Thank you, Christophe. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Habil. Welcome to everybody. In Morocco, we say marhaba bikum. So I hope that everybody is fine today. And I bring you in the garden, so maybe you can hear the birds and the landscape behind me of the vineyards. This vineyard is Domaine ZOUINA, and I'm the managing director. And this domain has been a new investment for two French family in 2001 when we decided to plant vines in Morocco. So we are not too far away from Meknes, in middle of Morocco. And the two families, Gribelin and Gervoison family, they're well known in Pessac, Léognan for doing wine there at the time for my family, and still for the Gervoison family with Chateau Larrivée Aubryon. So today, Morocco, I have a lot to say about the history. And what I like to point out is today we can talk about wines in Morocco, and we can refer to the new wines of the old world. Why the whole world? Because the Phoenician already 2000 years before Christ planted the first vineyards in Africa, and they came to create one of the first world vineyards at that time. And that's why I refer to that. And as you can see in this picture, you have some mosaic of Bacchus, and this is a vestige in Volubilis, not too far away from Meknes, not too far away from the estate. This is a testimony of that the Romans at that time were still also doing, were beginning to do wines and olive oil also. The other point about the history that I like to introduce you on the next page. Do you have to? No, thank you. Morocco and wine. About the other point I like to mention about the history. Of course, this point about the antiquity and the period with the ancient Rome. This is a picture from again Volubilis at that time, at today's time, but still a testimony of their presence. 500 years before Christ, with the settling of Phoenician and the Greek trade counters, developed wine production at that time in Larache, not too far away from our place. But this is really with the French colony that large-scale viticulture was introduced into Morocco, like you can find in Algeria or Tunisia at that time. And in the independence time, there were 55,000 hectares. So today it's less than 10,000, but at that time it was pretty strong, and especially because it was, we call that like wine doctor at that time, because with Europe it was possible to blend wines from Morocco and to bring color and also alcohol degree at that time. But Europe community decided to stop that with introducing new quotas in the 60s, and then the production fell down drastically. At that time, it was still 3 million hectoliters. Even the French left, but today it's less than 300,000 hectoliters a year. From the departure of the French, the Moroccan states decided to reorganize it, the farm and this wine production, but it was really low quality, and this is with new investment with many French company like Castel, with long-term lease of vineyards that we had a reborn in the 90s, with introduction also of grapes like Syrah or Chardonnay here in Morocco. And so it has been quite successful to give really a new quality and new investment, new know-how for Morocco. And some other small producers such as us, for us it was in 2001, follow in the future, then I would say. And at that time, the quality was still progressing. And today we can find, thanks to us, but not only, with other players, good quality wine so far in Morocco. So Moroccan wine today. What is interesting to notice is that most of the wine is consumed within the country. So you notice that Morocco is a Muslim country, but still the consumption is still strong in this country, thanks to tourists, but not only. And good quality wine are also exported to other countries, but mainly the main export country still is France. again, thanks with a company like Castel or big company like Castel and others. Anyway, so quantity today is 40 million bottles a year. Here in Morocco, this is the second largest exporter of Africa and also the second producer. There is a lot of jobs coming in this kingdom thanks to wines and also to the wine growing. Also, what I like to point out here is long-term drives because Morocco, we can say that there is really a trend with premiumization, like more modern French-type caves are appearing. We have a cave like also Nicolas here in Morocco or others. The higher quality local wines are increasingly gaining more credibility with both Moroccan consumer and tourists. And there's really a shift because people are drinking less, but with better wine as other countries. But this is also the case here in Morocco. And what I mentioned at the end is that wine is also increasingly being consumed at social gathering. This is really a new trend here because usually it's difficult to talk about alcohol here in Morocco and to say that you can consume wine even you are Muslim. So you are a little bit shy about that and not expressing it too much, I would say. So next page is just a short beverage, the total beverage percentage of wines. So today the main consumption is beer, and wine is 25%, and spirits. This is figure of last year. So with the lockdown, it's a little bit different because restaurants were closed and also all the discotheques were closed. The wine we consume here in Morocco, mainly red, and also what we produce is mainly red. Rosé is something that is pushing like white, but this is more for the youngest generation because people here are used to drink red, and also with new investment with cold storage and cold process. It's getting better today with rosé and white, and also people are in this trend. But still, it's not a big percentage. So on the next page, I would like to talk about the way we will distribute the wine. So as you can see, is off premise of trade, which is the most important. We have here a supermarket with like Carrefour and others like Super, but still small. The traditional grocery store are also selling a lot of wines there, and also because of social behavior, people like to drink it at home. It's easier than drinking at restaurants here in Morocco. And also, this is a figure of last year. So if you compare to 2019, it will be different with hotel restaurants because we had more tourists at that time also, and people were willing and able to consume at restaurants. When we share the market share, sorry, the next one is about, as you can see, it's impressive to see that there is one group which is doing 80% of the business. Znibir Group is a Moroccan family that own a lot of land and is producing also and working with big company like Grand Chais de France in France. Castel is the second one in terms of in market share in Morocco, but they are exporting a lot to France with brand like Boulawan or even brand from Algeria like Sidi Brahim, but they are doing that from Morocco. And us, we are in yellow. So if you add these two figures, you will see that we're at more than 2% the market share today. So there's not a lot of player. There is others and smaller player, but we are less than 10 producer here in Morocco, with the biggest one with 80% of the business. So it's a really concentrated world, and also something interesting to innovate, because when we are not too much, it's easier to do so. So on the next page, this is a map of Morocco and some picture about the vineyards on your left, and the gate or Moroccan landscape. We are in Meknes, so really it's middle of Morocco. But as you can see, there is different territory, different terroir, and there is one also L'Oriental near Algeria, but this one is disappearing years after years, so there's not too many vines over there. Though still the biggest production is in Meknes, with Cellier de Meknes, Zniber Group. Us, we are also not too far away from there, but this is really a good spot to be. You have also other spot near Casablanca, Ben Slimane with other company, or not too far away from Rabat. And there is one small producer in near Marrakesh, near Essaouira. So it's more focused and more oriented about tourists at this place. The weather on the next page for the climate, we can say that it's rather Mediterranean. Of course, here it's dry summers, sometimes pretty hot, with a specific wind called Shergi. It's like when you open your oven, is really dry and pretty hot. We have, of course, and thanks, we have some rains. Sometimes it's some storm, bad storms in autumn, and it's raining during the winter. And this year we are pretty lucky because we had nearly 500 millimeters for the harvest to come. So it's quite huge for us, because we are more used to 200, 300 meters a year. So that's why we need really irrigation system in place during the summer heat. But it's like everything, we need some stress. So if you put too much water, you will not have a good quality at the end. So it's really a question of balance as everything. On the next one, we just this is a picture of the land, and as you can see, it's clay and limestone, and so clay is really good for keeping water, especially in this country. And limestone, sometimes you can have it at only 20 centimeters, so it's also something good for the stress in some points. And to us, you have other land with more sandy place, but us is really clay, limestone, as this picture can describe. Also, if we talk about us, this is a picture of the estates. Here we have 130 hectares. 85 hectares are dedicated to the vineyard production. We mentioned in sustainable agriculture. Plots are in organic conversion. You talked just before about that, the conference before. In organic conversion for us, so this is the second year for nearly 12 hectares. So this is a beginning for us. And you can understand that usually it's easier to do that in Morocco with a dry place. But this year, as I mentioned, we had a lot of rain, so it's still a challenge to do organic, but should be easier anyway than in France in some raining place. So, and we try to be really concerned about quality research and different orientation in that place. We also introduce kind of grapes. So as I mentioned in the introduction with the history with the French colony, before when the French introduced wines, was more like southeast variety with Carignan and even Grenache at that time. But today, so thanks to a big company and also like people like us, we introduce variety from France. Unfortunately, you can't find something from Morocco. There is no history about vines in Morocco, or at least it disappeared. So today it's Syrah, Cabernet, usually that you will find, also Cabernet Franc, Tempranillo also. And Chardonnay is doing pretty well with Viognier or Vin Montino for the white wines here in Morocco. For the gray one and the rosé, light rosé, usually here we use Caladoc, Mourvèdre, so a typical variety from the southeast that you will find there. The density of plantation is usually 4,000 feet per hectare to avoid too much stress. Others are doing even less than that, 3,000. We care, of course, sometimes we can do green harvesting. So for the new shots, we try to avoid that. And also the key is really to control the yield if you want to do a good quality. Even we have irrigation. In some cases, we don't use irrigation for some plots, depending really on what kind of wine we will attend. Then after harvesting period, usually it's August. Last year it was end of July, and it was the second time for me. So this is nearly our 15 harvest year, and we saw that sometimes it's possible now to harvest end of July. So this year should be beginning of August and end of September. Sometimes, depending on the weather, it could be October for the last cab grapes. We use end harvest like in this kind of baskets you can see in this picture. Also sorting tables when it's necessary. Usually, if it's end harvest, we use a storage in cold room. We will store the grapes in a cold room for 24 hours before sorting out into tables. Is really helpful for us, especially for the white and for the rosé. Even it's the weather. If even we harvest during the night, it's difficult to have a good temperature. At least we have a good gap because during the night it's usually 20 degrees less than during the day. So when you have 35 degrees Celsius during the day, usually it's less than 15. So it helps also a lot, and that's why we made some mechanization the last 2 years for the red because it's sometimes quicker and it's also better to work during the night. But for the white and the rosé, definitely we will use the cold room system. Okay, for the next page, yeah, just a picture of the cellar. As you can see, it's you can find that there is some stainless vats, but not only. And the main concrete tank is for the red. This is really one cellar you will find usually in Morocco or even at some places in Bordeaux. And so we built this wine cellar in 2004, and we decided to put concrete tank for the red to keep to help pre-fermentation and to keep it cold longer. So it's all air conditioning, but it's really important here to have the good materials, and we invest in that. But the main focus for me still today is to make sure that you will have enough freshness to keep the fermentation going well and to control them and to avoid also oxidation in the best way. So here, this is a picture about the aging, because we also do some aging. I mentioned that the owners are French guys coming from Pessac-Léognan, and also we do some whites in Pessac-Léognan. So we also decided, so it's with Chardonnay, not with Sauvignon. but we do some good quality wine with the brand Epicuria Chardonnay, and it's fermented in new oaked barrels, usually and aged for 6 months. For the Epicuria collection, for the red, usually we don't use new French oak barrels, but it's the barrels of 1 or 2 wines usually. So then we go quickly to the production. Just to mention that we also do some mono variety brand, and Epicuria is really focused more on the plot selection, more concentration, and with also edge into barrels, not to put it too woody, but to give more tannin and more balanced wine. And I was mentioning just before the Epicuria Chardonnay, which is 100% fermented in barrels. Like we don't do the malolactic fermentation for Chardonnay to keep more freshness, because the acidity here is usually less at what you can find, of course, in other places, in Europe. The best seller for us is the other brand Volubilia. The next page, which you can see that there is the bestseller again, Volubilia Classic. This is the red, which is a blended wine, easy to drink, fruity wine. We have also Volubilia Gris. Usually, this is one brand that we push for, especially for the export market, because with the trend, of course, of the rosé, but also because this is a gris, and gris is really typical from Maghreb, from Algeria, from Morocco. It's really light rosé, and really interesting to launch a new brand or to penetrate a new market for us. We do also some Volubilia White, but usually it's for the local market. We don't do that much of that wine, and the local market is doing good with this brand. The Volubilia Rosé 100%, usually not 100%, but Syrah mainly. We mentioned Cabernet Sauvignon, Tempranillo. It depends on the year, but usually it's only a Syrah. And the last brand we have is ZOUINA here. ZOUINA is really a good introduction with good pricing for Moroccan wine. So it's really something helping for the distribution, usually to penetrate the market and to compete against other distributors. And that's pretty much about it. So thank you for your attention. And so if you have any question, I'll be happy to answer about this Moroccan introduction.
Super. Super. Merci beaucoup, Christophe. So do we have questions from the audience? Please.
Yeah, one. Hello.
Yes, Pascal, go ahead.
Hello. It's nice in Morocco. I heard the bird too. It's a poem. So I check your wine. You are in the page 69 in the catalog of APVSA Digital Wine Fair. And ZOUINA is very interesting for the price and the quality, because I tasted this wine before. Do you think it's will be possible to start with 20 cases for test the Manhattan market, for example, because the people don't know very well this kind of wine, so they don't want to take too much risk. So they asked me if it's possible to do an order of 20 cases for start and test the market. If the market is open, let's go. And if it doesn't work, they try, and that's it.
Yeah, it's always interesting to start small and grow after that. So yeah, we can start with 20 cases, and in that case, we have to make sure about the logistic and take care of that. So I think should be
okay. And what kind of promotion can you do for help the seller for starting, for example, in Manhattan Island?
But usually we'll help with giving some samples.
Okay.
and depending on the market that they are looking for, also we can also help with some fees to promote the product. But it's really have to manage that correctly, and like everything, it has to be a win-win
Yes.
stuff anyway.
Because the first order, it's very important when they start. If they do a good job, they have a repeat business. If they don't do the good job, they have never a repeat business. And my last question, it's about which kind of restaurant are good customer for this kind of wine?
It's for you know, it's difficult to answer, because you can think that the exotic restaurants will be a good start, and Moroccan restaurant could be also a good start, because you know, Moroccan cuisine, the Moroccan food are well known, and usually it's a good start. But it really depends on the distributor. So for example, in France, we have some really guys focus on this kind of Moroccan cuisine, like we call couscousier, and there is others that just selling to other parts. So it's really depending on that. So, but I'm sure that you were talking about Manhattan. There is a lot of Moroccan restaurants.
Exactly.
And also you have Algerian, Tunisia, or even Lebanese, and sometimes they are more willing to take this kind of product at the beginning, because for sure today we are still exotic wines, and even this is for many years that they are doing wine. It's difficult to put Moroccan wine on the map today. So yeah, Moroccan cuisine is a good start.
Yes, and I think it will be a very good ambassador for you, this kind of restaurant. And I have again a little question for you. It's about the Magnum. I see you do some Magnum. It will be possible to have a ZOUINA Magnum?
ZOUINA Magnum, we have to think about it. ZOUINA,
Okay.
yeah, also we do some half bottle of that. It's still possible to do that.
Yes.
It's really depend on the customer, and if this is really something he thinks would be interested to that. But for ZOUINA is more you know, the entry market. So
Understand. And it will be not for drink. In fact, it's only for the marketing, because the restaurant, they put the bottle at the window or on the table, you know, and
yeah.
like that, it's a nice advertising for them. A lot of them ask us this kind of Magnum, particularly on the Manhattan Island, like with the football. Imagine, like they have some container problem, they put the Magnum in the plane. Imagine. So they pay very expensive for have the wine. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you for your question.
And I will take care of you, and I will give you the contact for the buyer.
Okay, thanks a lot, Pascal.
It's a pleasure.
I have one question.
Hello, Michelle. Yes, go ahead.
As far as logistics, exactly how would your wine get to the United States? I'm a little confused on that one.
Yeah, usually it's by boat from Casablanca, and it's doing directly to port. So I don't know exactly if it's New York or port in the US. So for Michelle, you are based in the East Coast, I think.
Yes,
Yeah,
Georgia.
so, yeah, Georgia. So usually from Casablanca, there is a lot of lines, boat lines. Sometimes it's go to Europe or to Spain. They go directly to the US.
Okay, because I am a small regional importer. For me, a mixed pallet, 1 or 2 pallets would be maximum to start. So we use Hillebrand for logistics. So I assume then Hillebrand would pick it up from you and take it to a collection spot and then get it to me.
Yeah, and today we have also some warehouse in France. So also it's possible to get it from here. The only issue is that the back label usually maybe we'll have to to focus on that, but also possible to deliver to Hilbrand in France, and I think it's certainly the best way for you.
Yes, that would probably be best. Thank you.
Okay, if no more questions, any more questions, Helen? Okay. So, Christophe, thank you very much. I love this presentation, and I'm really fond of Morocco, and I spent some time there, and it's a wonderful country.
So I hope you will come shortly.
I'll go back. Yes, and I visited all this region of Fez and Volubilis, Meknes. Yes, it's wonderful, wonderful. Really nice trip. Okay, so we don't have more questions. We will end the presentation here, and the next presentation will be Château-les-Aubes for the Côte de Provence. Thank you very much, everybody. Take good care. Bye bye.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Tout le monde.
Ciao Pascal, bye bye.
Bye.
À la prochaine.
Et ouais, dans 30 minutes.
Bon courage.
Merci, à plus, bye bye.